This line graph shows a trader's account balance climbing steadily during a weeks-long win streak, right before taking a sudden vertical dive. We call this the ego trap. It goes against basic intuition, but a long string of green days is actually far more dangerous to your discipline than a string of losses. As the timeline advances, notice how the trader's position size suddenly doubles right at the peak. Winning creates a psychological loop where you start to feel unbeatable. You get cocky, and you abandon the exact risk management rules that built that profit in the first place. Looking at these two data profiles, the left shows a disciplined trader taking small, controlled red bars, predictable paper cuts. The right side shows our reckless winner stacking massive green bars, building up to a single catastrophic red bar that wipes the entire account. The difference between these two profiles is not market luck, it is ego. When you inevitably fall into this trap and break a rule, there is a specific 3-step recovery checklist you need to run immediately. It is designed to diagnose the exact failure and physically lock you out of doing any worse damage. A gambler pays the market and walks away with nothing but anger. A professional extracts a permanent behavioral lesson from the damage. Mastering this exact recovery process separates temporary winners from traders who do this for a career. If you go to a doctor and just say, "I'm in pain," they cannot treat you. You have to point to exactly what hurts. The exact same logic applies to your trade journal. Writing down, "I got emotional today," fails to fix the root cause of your error. This mock trade journal shows the correct approach for step 1. Instead of the vague, "I was emotional" entry, you must pinpoint the precise mechanical failure. Notice how the entry is crossed out and replaced with "added to a losing trade." You cannot fix a problem until you clearly name the mechanical boundary you crossed. Rules do not break randomly, they snap under specific pressures. Step 2 identifies the exact mental state that triggered the failure. A second column is added here to isolate the cause. In this case, being up $2,000 on the week led directly to overconfidence and sloppy execution. Step 3 is the only part of the system that actively changes your future behavior. You write a strict structural rule designed to mathematically prevent a repeat offense. Here we lock in a new rule: position size automatically halved for the first session after a winning week. Every time you break a rule and lose money, you are paying the market. If that financial loss does not result in a brand new, written rule sitting on your desk, you paid for a lesson you refuse to learn, and that capital is permanently wasted. The NAS100 Futures market functions as a highly accelerated global auction house. Billions of dollars are aggressively repriced every second, creating a macro environment built to punish hesitation. When real-time numbers flash against your open positions, like this steep 400-point drop, the physiological stress spikes instantly. That intense pressure makes it incredibly difficult to think objectively about your own execution. Because of that stress, new traders often make a critical diagnostic error. They falsely assume that if a trade closes red, they must have done something wrong, and they immediately try to tweak their strategy. This schematic illustrates the reality of trading math. It shows an A+ setup executing perfectly, according to the strategy, but still hitting a stop-loss threshold. This gets a green checkmark because it is a valid probability loss. No rule was broken. A true discipline loss is when you oversize out of boredom or revenge. If you overanalyze and try to fix a perfect setup just because it hit the losing side of its probability, you will destroy a working system. Save your diagnostic energy strictly for moments when you actually breach your own written discipline. When a trader realizes they violated rules and lost capital, the immediate overwhelming urge is to force a revenge trade to win money back. That reaction usually ends in total account liquidation. This flowchart maps out the professional alternative. The moment a rule break is identified, the path leads directly to an immediate terminal lockout. You close the platform, step away from the desk, and physically cut off your own market access for 24 hours to stop the bleeding. Following the paths forward, we see two distinct trajectories. The gambler's loop spirals out of control. They blame the market, repeat the mistake, and blow the account. The pro's loop is a closed circuit of survival. Diagnose the error, update the system, and live to trade tomorrow. Day trading is a demanding analytical career, not an app you casually tap on from bed. You have to treat your desk like a strict corporate environment where you are held accountable for every single execution. The market does not care about your ego, and it does not issue refunds. Every loss costs the exact same dollar amount whether you learn from it or not. The only way to convert that lost capital into paid tuition is by leaving the desk with a permanent, unbreakable upgrade to your system.